All right, now we have our NetBeans installed, and if we run it, this is the first thing we'll see if we've never run NetBeans before. Simply a startup screen. You can do some tutorials depending on what you installed. I installed all of the different packages available, but maybe at the minimum for sure you need to at least have this Java SE JDK installed. The NetBeans, My NetBeans will give you recent projects that you've worked on. And then, of course, you can toggle this on and off and have it not show, which I think I would prefer to do. And then I'm going to close out this tab so I don't have to see it. And here is my IDE, and we'll take a tour around that in just a second. So currently I don't have anything that's being displayed. I don't have anything open. I'm going to create a new project. So File, New Project, and we're going to choose Java and click on Next. By default, our project files are held in this NetBeans Documents, NetBeans Projects folder. So I'm going to give this a project name, Hello World. And then for the moment, we're not going to allow this to create a main class. We're going to create our own main class. So, and I'll explain this in other videos. But for now, make sure you unclick your Create Main Class, or things aren't going to work with Hypergrade and with other things that we have going on. So for now, unclick Main Class and choose Finish. And it's going to create our new project. I'll close this out. And so now we have NetBeans has some project files that were created. So unlike a video that we've done prior where we used Notepad that just had one .java file, now we have a whole project file. So NetBeans sets up a directory. Let's just look at that real quick. So we're going to look in Documents, and we're going to go to NetBeans Projects, and we see that NetBeans set up a folder called Hello World, and there's extra files. I'm not sure what all is going on here, but ideally where it says Source Packages is where our .java files are going to be stored. And so when we create a new class, well, let's go ahead and do that. So we need to create our .java file. And so we're going to right click and we're going to call it a new Java class. So I right clicked on the project name, Hello World, chose new, and clicked on Java class. I'm going to call this Hello World. This is going to be the name of my class. And so remember that class names always should start with a capital H or with a capital letter. In this case, it's capital H. So my class names start with a capital letter. And then for now, we're not going to worry about what packages are, so I'm going to leave this blank. Make sure you leave that blank, and we'll talk about packages later on in the course, but for today, make sure we leave that blank, and then click on Finish. And so now we see that our hello world.java file was created, and I'm going to double check in here, and sure enough, this is where we're going to find our source file. So I really could open this up in Notepad if I wanted to. So this is just a text file that has our Java source code. In NetBeans' case, it saves it in an entire project folder. But if you wanted to just get at that source file, there is that Java file. Just out of curiosity, I could probably right click on that and show it in Notepad++. So just a text file, nothing scary, but that's where everything is stored. All right, so on the left-hand side here, we have this projects pane. So this gives us access to all of our files. We've just saw that. You can make it smaller if you don't want to see it because it's taking up too much real estate. Then you can bring it back. If you're not seeing it here at all, either way, you can lock that back in place. If you choose, let's see, I think it's under Window, Projects, there it is. So that would enable it to either show or not show. So there's our projects folder, our projects pane. Okay, and this is our editor pane, our edit pane. So this is where we're going to write our code. Mine is showing the line numbers, which is very helpful. If you don't want to see the line numbers, you can toggle them on and off, but it's very helpful to see it. So if yours is showing or not showing, you can toggle it on and off that way. All right, so now let's talk about our code. So we're going to write our Hello World program. Remember that every Java program has to start off within a class, and that our class name is capitalized, so our capital H, and that our class name is also case sensitive and spelled exactly the same way as our .java file was. So all of those match up. And so within our public class, we're going to create a public method. Remember, this is a code block because we've got opening and closing braces. And so now I'm going to create a public method. And I'm just going to type real quick, public static void main, lowercase. Main has to be lowercase. Strings has to be uppercase. And then the opening and closing brackets. And then the word args. Now we're going to understand what this whole statement means later on in the semester. Right now I'm just asking you to sort of take this all at face value and type it in. But do remember that this is case sensitive, so main is little, string is capital. And we're putting another code block within our class code block. If you wanted to, not if you wanted to, but Java wouldn't mind if you kept this code block on the same indentation line as your public class. However, that is very difficult to read, as you can see. So programming practice dictates that we indent it to make it more readable. So far so good. We've got our class and we've got our main method. If incidentally you prefer to put your opening curly brace, oops, I did something wrong there. Your opening curly brace underneath, that's perfectly fine. Either way is acceptable, whichever you feel is easier to read, but just be consistent. Do the same. I'll just be consistent here. So whichever way you decide to do it, be consistent throughout your code just to make it more readable. All right, so we're looking good so far. Now we're going to do our type, remember, indenting. So I first got to indent my first line here, and we're going to type system dot. Now, at this point, because this is an IDE, it tries to give me it gives me some other options, some other things that would be legally correct, syntactically correct, or ideas of things that I could use with system, and we'll understand what all of these things, how to use these again later on in the semester. But for now, I can see there's my out, so it's trying to be more helpful and give me more information, and we'll learn more about that as we go along. But right now, I'll type in out. And then again, trying to give me options here. I'm going to type in print. As you can see, there's a print statement, so I can do print. Incidentally, the difference between print and print line will automatically return the cursor to a new line when it's finished printing. And then print would not. It would then continue if there was a subsequent print after this line is printed, it would print it all on the same line. Okay, so I'll do print line. Notice at this point that if I stopped now, I've got this ugly red squiggly line, and a little hint here is, to the best of its ability, it tries to let me know that something isn't working right, that this statement isn't right yet. And in this case, it's trying to let me know that I'm missing a semicolon. In Java, every statement needs to end in a semicolon. So I put the semicolon. It's still not quite right yet. It still doesn't know what's going on. So it's not smart enough to tell me exactly what's going on, but I know that I need to put in a string literal here. In other words, in quotes, here's exactly what I want you to type to the console. And so now by putting that in, I've gotten rid of my squiggly lines, and everything should be good to go. So at this point, I should be able to click on Run. No main class is found. That's interesting. So I'll figure out what that means in a minute. If I right-click on here and choose Run File, let's see what happens there. So Hello World is running. And then I'm given this output screen, which might be a little bit hard to read. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger there. And it did, in fact, do what it was supposed to do, Hello World, and then build was successful. So it's doing exactly what it was supposed to do. So why didn't this work? Well, I'll show you. If you get that error message because you accidentally click here and it says, what's going on here? Here's what we can do. Again, I'm going to click on that project name. I'm going to go down to Properties. I'm going to click on Run. And what NetBeans is trying to tell me is I don't know where that main method is that I'm supposed to run. And so I can Click on it and say that main method, since you couldn't find it all by yourself, is here in my Hello World class. Select that. So now that the main class, I'm telling it where that main method is, I should be able to click on OK. And now if I run this from the green line, I'm good to go. So if you get that error message, that's why. So you can either right click on it, the file itself, and choose Run File, or by setting the properties, you can run the project from there. So that's our Hello World. That is NetBeans introduction, and we will move on from here.